G'day, just arrived here in Queensland. It's been 15 years since I've been detecting here in Queensland. I'm on the goldfields, it's an old boy's dig. Let's see how we go. Unlike the TV show, I'm not going to make a target, but I reckon I'm going to need 2 ounces to cover my costs and make some wages. I'll point out a few things along the way, things to look for, a few clues here and there. That might help you find some gold if you ever make it to the Queensland goldfields. Here on the Claremont goldfield, a lot of the early alluvial gold was found in cemented wash. It's ancient riverbed, or even supposedly an estuary or a lake or something like that was formed here, and the gold has been caught up in the bed of the lake or whatever it happened to be, and the rock material formed at the bottom trapped the gold. This is a typical example. I've got a piece here, a little piece of gold in it. Seems to always contain a fair amount of iron, so you can look for that, and you'll see little water-worn pebbles from where it was in the waterways. I'll show you the little piece in here that I just got out of a dig heap. So the old timers couldn't see what was buried within the rock, not like us with the metal detectors that see through it. Trust me, I can see it in here. It is coming out, maybe. Anyway, that's it just there, sitting on the surface of the rock there. So when you're here in Claremont, even if you're away from the diggings, looking on the slopes or the tops of the ridges even, look for this old cemented wash. I can see a piece just here. This is typical. It's like an ironstone material with pebbles trapped inside. The slate material is what would have been the bottom or the original rock that the lake sat upon, or the river, and the gold gets caught up in this material, and this is what the old timers were digging, but if it was trapped inside they couldn't see it. So our metal detectors allows us to do that. So make sure if you see this material, give it a thorough check, because inside it, little pieces of gold. Here we are on top of an old miner's dig heap. You can see the ironstone conglomerate material sitting right on the very top, which would have been the bottom of the hole, and it's this that carried the gold. So just something to look out for when you're around the heaps. Another thing the old timers did, when they were digging the wash, they would screen the material. So you will have fines and you'll have coarse material. I very, very rarely find anything in the fines. Often in this coarse material is where the little nuggets will be hiding. Maybe they were covered in dust, or if they were in the conglomerate, they'd be buried inside and the old timers couldn't see it. But our metal detectors will reveal what is hidden inside. If you find yourself in an area where there are dig heaps and you want to go over the heaps, the best places are where the heaps are most concentrated. This is where the old timers were finding lots of gold, and the chances of them throwing them out much higher. Even if you find a few little isolated heaps here and there, they can be worth going over. I've often found little pieces in those, but generally where the heaps are more concentrated is where the most gold is. At another location here in Claremont, this is reef workings. Pretty typical of a reef working. It has been rehabbed in that it's been pushed back in by a bulldozer at some stage, probably to refill the holes to make it safe for the GPA areas around Claremont. I have found gold in these locations, but there's always plenty of rubbish left by the old timers, bits of tin and so forth, which was used in the workings of the mine. You'll find typical looking quartz with the ironstone and the yellow staining, which you usually find around reef workings here. There's not a lot of reef workings in the Claremont district. You'll also find pits and trenchings across the hillsides where the old timers were looking, or maybe found a trace but not enough to make it payable. It's a good area to have a look, especially downslope and in the gullies below, because that's where all the gold ends up eventually. Give it a go, you never know. We have here another typical reef workings up here on the hillside. There's actually several up this little gully here. As you can imagine, all the gold's been washing down off the reef as it erodes into this gully, making its way down. I picked up several small pieces out of the heaps here, and I also picked up quite a few pieces further down the gully. I'm on a North Queensland goldfield at this point. I'm not going to say where. I've got a lot more exploring I'd like to do in this area. It's known for its little reefs. It's granite country. It tends to be much quieter to detect. But I found myself a little reef just here. I've been picking up a number of pieces. I've got one here in the clod. I'd like to call these a kinder surprise. But the gold has been, I've been following a line in this direction through here and working up the slope. I've still got a fair ways to go, so hopefully there'll be a lot of gold here. It's only small, but it all adds up. There it is. Small, sharp, prickly gold. Hasn't travelled far from the source at all. I reckon the source I can see just here on top of the rise. So let's see what we can end up with. Back at camp now, just after lunch. I think I've picked up most of the pieces there. There may be one or two more. I'll go back and finish it. But so far 26 pieces. They're all small, but it counts. It's about 8 to 9 grams, allowing for a bit of stone. Certainly worth the effort. And we'll head off and see if we can find another one. Since yesterday, I traced all the small pieces up here to where the top of the ridge is, where I thought it might have been coming from. I've located the exact position. I've got a number of pieces out here this morning. I waited until the cooler weather. It's too hot to dig during the day, and this is what I found. Still going down. This is what I've got so far. Well, let's hope it doesn't stop. I'll show you one piece coming out of the dirt. Hard to even recognise as gold because it's so dirty. But a fresh little piece straight off the reef. Come across this set of old dry blowings. Somebody's been here and worked them. Somewhat selfishly, because they haven't left me anything. Must have been a good operator. To those that don't know, this is a dry blowing. On the left there is the coarse gravels, on the right the fines. It was an apparatus used with a bellows to blow the dust and lighter material out of the dirt and hopefully leaving the gold behind, but often little pieces of gold got knocked out as well, and you can usually find the odd bit around this sort of an area. I realise you're a bit far from the action, but it's the only tree I could find. I've got a booming signal here on another little reef. Let's see what it is. Out. It's gold. A few grams in that one. Closer look later. That's that bit that come off beside the reef. Just not quite 6 grams. Unusual to think it was sitting there on its own, hard down in the quartz. Even looks a little water worn. That's gold. Yesterday when I found that piece on the reef just up here, I was on my way back to camp. I was exhausted, hot, and wasn't thinking really clearly. So I've come back here first thing this morning, reassessed the location, straight away got a nice one. It's probably 10 grams plus. It's the biggest piece I've found in this area. I've only ever found small reefs with pieces up to totaling an ounce. I've done that on a few occasions. Or you find patches with 2, 3, 4 gram pieces in them. Nothing significant, but always fairly pretty gold. The piece that I got on that reef over there, I don't think it actually belonged directly where it was to that reef, because it showed signs of being a little bit water worn. So I'd imagine as the ground eroded down, it travelled down with it and didn't move. And as you can see in that reef there, the ironstone all through the quartz, which is always a fantastic indicator, something to look for. And yesterday on that same line I found a tiny little piece further along. So when I come back this morning I thought, well, if it's up there, maybe it's shed down the other side of the ridge and not where I was looking yesterday afternoon. And straight away I got that nice piece. I've now got another good signal over here. Sorry you're so far away again, only tree nearby. Let's see how I go. Yes, the ground's hard. Always try and dig around where you think it is so you don't hit it. It's a good one. Oh! Boy. I'm glad I'm doing this first thing in the morning. Oh. Oh, I didn't think the ground was so deep here. Boy. It's a good one, all right, wherever it is. Yes. Yeah, that's nice. Good size. Yeah. Well, that's made the trip worthwhile and the effort. Okay, I've come to the end of my 4 days detecting here in North Queensland. Quite pleased with the result. It is a place I've been to several times before. I certainly got pieces bigger than I was expecting, but you always hope for something like that. And the result is specimen. There you go. It's about ounce and a half to ounce and 3/4, allowing for the stone and stuff in there at a guess. Now, some of these bigger specimens, I've got no idea how much is actually in them until we dolly them up and have a look. I hope you've enjoyed the tips I've given you on this region, and head back down south through Claremont. I'll do another day or two there on my way back home and see if I can find some more. This is the last day for me on this trip, finishing here in Claremont. One last thing I want to show you. Dig heaps. I don't detect these much anymore myself, but there's certainly gold can be found in them. There was a lot found early on when the pulse induction detectors first came out. But little things to look for, little tricks. I mean, the last stuff to come out of the hole was on top of the heap, So obviously the top of it is the most likely, but it's also the most likely detected. But what can happen is the rain can wash them back inside the hole. So you find these little ledges and stuff inside the holes, they can be good. The very bottom of the holes is often full of rubbish. But if you do around the inside, especially if you see these little ledges. And another thing, when the old timers were down in the hole throwing the material out, gold being heavy, hit the top of the heap and run down the back. And with rain, it can also help push it further. So always do out from the back of the heap as well, because there can be gold out there. I've found some nice pieces back out from the base of the heaps. And another little thing you can sometimes find near the heaps is you'll find a pile of gravel just out away a bit. This is often the concentrates. They were putting that aside to take away and wash later. And something may have happened, another rush or illness or anything could have happened and they never got to do it. So those little piles, you see them, they're a must do. And that's it for me. I'll show you very shortly the results from my trip, all cleaned up, weighed up, and until next time out on the goldfields, good luck. All the gold that I found is available for sale in our shop in Marundai. If you happen to pass up through the New England Highway in the Upper Hunter Valley, please drop in. Also sell rocks, crystals, minerals, gems, among other things. Please call in and say good day.